Hey everyone, another Open Dragon Mouse for you guys, and man, I do have a lot of stuff to get into, so let's get right to it. First off, I have mentioned this before, but I just want to bring this up again. Rocko's Modern Life is going to be coming back with a movie. Nickelodeon has confirmed this, and they are slated to come out with this movie sometime next year. And they have debuted a trailer at San Diego Comic-Con. In fact, it's on YouTube right now, I believe. And it is. So if you want to take a look at I am looking at it right now, and its animation's pretty cleaned up. I mean, it does look like the original 90s cartoon. Just yeah, everything's cleaned up a little more, so it just looks brighter. So do check that out. Let's see. Now, a couple months ago, I had mentioned some concerns about the Sonic comic books and the relation with Archie Comics. And it has been delayed for specified reasons over a contract dispute with Sega. And now they have announced that they will be parting ways with Archie. But don't worry, there still be Sonic comics coming out. But they say, quote, a decision to take a different direction for the series that will be announced at a later date. Now, fans of Sonic are not only shocked by this, but the staff of the series are also shocked by this announcement. Now, there was an update on it later, and they have announced that they will now be partnering with IDW to continue the Sonic comic books. So, like I said, they're still coming, so just be patient. Let's see. And speaking of videos, Disney is they have the research team looking at something I think is really cool. They have something out called the Magic Bench. Now, it is basically a bench, and they have two cameras. Yeah, you got the one camera, and you have a depth sensor. What it is that when you sit on the bench, an animated animal just walks up and just interacts with you. And it could be an elephant, giraffe, donkey, rabbit. They have a whole video out there, and it really does look cool. And it does predict what you do. Like if you like the preview video showed a frog sitting next to the lady. She tried to pet him. He's like, "Hey, we just met. You want to invade my personal space?" So yeah, I wonder what they'll use this for. And I'm pretty sure that they'll use this in the parks once they clean up everything on it. But it was pretty much described as being stepping into the world of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. If you remember the live action / animated movie back in 1988. So do take a look at it. There is a video of it. Check it out. It really looks cool. Now, I took a look at... once I saw this video, I had to see this. Screw Attack did a video of their Death Battle series, which they pitted two fan favorites here. Lucario of Pokemon and Renamon of Digimon. See who would be the better fighter. And I won't spoil it for you, but I will say that this could make one set of fans upset. And I can't blame them, because it's really tough to choose which one, because I really do like both of these. And not to mention, I see a Lucario, quite a lot. There's Lucario fursuits. There's Renamon fursuits. There's definitely a lot of artwork. So you can check it out. Like I said, I won't spoil it for you. Let's see. Up next, we have now Vice did an article about fursuit makers. Now Vice um, was the same journal that did their research and did an article on the chlorine incident back in 2014. Now, I did look through the article, and for the most part, it is good. The only thing I didn't really like about this article is that they keep referring to Dogpatch Press, which I've said before, I don't like how they do their articles. I mean, let's look through some of the stuff in here. And they do steer clear of the sexual aspects in here. As it's I'm quoting from here. Although far less ubiquitous in fandom and far less often overtly sexualized than shows like CSI and outlets like Vanity Fair. Oh boy, thanks for reminding me of that. Fursuits are still prominent in the culture. And they do mention some of these big fursuit makers like Mixed Candy, Don't Hug Cacti, One for All. And there was one bit of piece of information that kind of caught my attention. They refer to the Dogpatch Press, and they said that a general high range for a standard commission, remember that, standard, is around $4,500. Now, I assume that this is American dollars, because when they say standard commissions, I mean, what exactly do they mean by that? How high that price sounds, I'm going to assume that it's a full fursuit. But $4,500, even by that, sounds really high. I currently have a fursuit currently in the works right now that's less than $3,000, and that's with padding. When they say standard commissions, I'm thinking of like the basic fursuit. So, because when you go higher up in price, we're usually talking about additional features like additional padding, more details like muscles, or advanced coloring with the fur, or airbrushing. You could even do light up eyes. So yeah, $4,500 sounds a little high to me, just for a standard commission. And they also do mention some of the special effects which can add quite a bit of value, like Primal Visions did one for Spartacus back in 2014, which cost $17,500. And I do know of one other fursuit that's worth 5 figures. And the guy that represents of Dogpatch Press said Hollywood effect stuff like animatronics can add at least a 0 to the highest fursuit prices. And then Vice added, which means some may hit 6 figures after full modding. But I don't see anyone paying 6 figures for a fursuit all by themselves. In fact, I don't know anyone that has a fursuit that's at least $100,000. If there is, please show me, because I don't know anyone that has a fursuit that expensive. 5 figures, yes, but 6? I don't think so. And then they go through a little history, and they refer to one of the Dogpatch Press articles. And I did look through that particular article, and it's just full of bashing. And it's basically those who ruined furry. Like, let me go through the list. 1960s, artists ruined furry. Yes, artists. That's because of one movie they particularly came out with, and that's Fritz the Cat, which was an X-rated film. And they said that this wanted to keep fans from openly using a furry name until the 1980s. I don't think that one movie would have done this. I mean, that's 2 decades that you're talking about here. And even Fritz the Cat is, until I watched Cinema Snob, I never knew anything about this movie. And heck, even with an X-rated film, it hardly gets out into the open. Tell me of a particular, well, it's now triple X or NC-17, whichever you prefer. Tell me of any of those X-ray films that get out there in the open just for everybody to know about. Unless they're heavily advertised, which that would be disastrous. Yeah, R-rated films get plenty of advertisement, but you will never see an advertisement for an X-rated film nowadays. Let's see. Transsexual freaks, they called it. And I am once again pulling from the article from Dog Patch Press itself, which shows a pic of furry fandom founder Fred Patton. I don't know if that's true or not, but because I don't know if there's actually one founder of furry. And once again, I'm quoting from this. Fred Patton with one of the freaks, Robert Hill, a.k.a. Hilda the Bambioid. And they described it as Hilda proudly ruining her image in a weird, sexy alien-like costume. And I'm looking at this black and white photo on the bottom. And it is a little risque, but there was just no need to put in those descriptions. And did you really have to group in freaks with transsexuals? Really? Internet ruined furry. To the guy that wrote this article, internet ruins everything. Okay? Have you not heard of Rule 34? So, no, if the internet touches it, it's ruined. Not just furry, okay? 96, 98, gays and fetishists ruin furry. And if you remember the that picture of the fox in front of a rainbow flag, that's pretty much what he's talking about. As saying a homosexual propaganda zine reported that who was it? Mark Merlino. He started Conference. So he had a convention you could write to for more info, which they say is a code for solicit perverted activity. And they said the con was overrun by horny gay men with no other interest. Burn furs. Okay, now this is a touchy one. Because this was... burn furs, I've definitely heard about. This was before my time in the furry fandom. The media ruined furry. Well, yes. Back in 2000 to 2004, MTV, CSI, Vanity Fair, yes. But now, over time, it has gotten better. Popufurs. Oh, God. I talked about this topic a couple years ago. Yeah, so you can look back in my channel and you can watch that, watch the whole video. And I'll say it. There's nothing to worry about with them. Don't worry about the Popufurs. 2007, 2010, cons ruined furry. They're pretty much saying that too many cons are showing up. Here's the thing. There's a reason why I say events on my channel, not conventions, because not everything is a convention. Some of these are picnics, some of these are camping, some of these are just fur meets. Heck, we are just starting an event here in North Carolina, Tarpaul Fur Meet, and it's not really up to the level of a convention. Heck, the last event we did, it didn't even take place in one venue. We had to pretty much move around. So I hesitate to call everything a convention. I call them events for that reason. 2010 2014 kids ruin furry. Now, they're not talking about actual kids. They're referring to the college age furs. And honestly, there is some truth to this. They're talking about those who came in to drink, those who are rowdy, partying. So there is some truth to this. But again, they're pretty much bashing them by calling them kids. And chasing off the older gray muzzles, which there's still plenty of gray muzzles which I talk to and appear at events. They do try to steer clear from them, but this doesn't really drive them away from conventions. And bring unwelcome new customs like dance crews. Actually, if you're counting dance competitions to floor wars, it's actually one of the most popular events at conventions. And then it finally says that everybody ruined furry. They mentioned IMVU. They say they bought Fur Affinity, which they're actually putting ads onto the website. And let's see, baby furs. They definitely get a bad rap, especially after what happened at Rainforest. And not surprisingly, they attacked the Ranting Griffin because of transphobic jokes, which is wrong. And they say Kage ruined furry for being a Fuhrer-like cult leader. Again, he is not putting himself as a leader of the furry fandom, if that's what you're implying. And they even say Disney ruined furry by putting out Zootopia without giving enough credit to the furry fandom for inventing anthro animals. You did not invent anthro animals. You did not. This practice came in years and years ago. If you were really looking into the history of furry fandom, this is something that you should know. And they even say they will be overwhelmed by fake furs. Oh my god. Oh. Have you ever thought of why you became a furry in the first place? I mean, Disney has made movies with anthropomorphic animals for years. I hear everybody mention Lion King, Robin Hood. Pretty much Disney was pretty much their gateway into the furry fandom itself. And this is no different to anyone else that may get into the furry fandom, whether it's Zootopia. So don't tell me that Disney is bringing in fake furs or they're not giving enough credit. Screw that. I mean, this is why I don't believe that Dogpatch Press is a good source to go to. I even wonder why they even got that Ursa Major award in the first place. But on to something different. 3 UK furs actually made an appearance on Good Morning on ITV. There is a whole transcript of this on the Flavor page, and there is a segment on YouTube if you can go look it up, and it is available on demand until next Monday. And the three first there that we're talking about are Annie Boxer, Ed the Poodle, and Dexy the Arctic Fox. So check that out, and I have to say that it is a pretty good interview, so do check that one out. Okay, and now we get to events. Before I get to the list, yesterday, What the Fur has had ended their event, and they have announced that they will be closing, and this was their last convention. They did not give a reason why. They said that multiple factors came in to contribute to their decision, and they don't want to give the reasons out in the open, and I'll respect that. So that will be that was the last of What the Fur. But we do have some other events coming up for the 3rd to the 7th. Campfire Trails in Oregon. We have Furry Siesta from the 4th to the 5th over in Texas. Then we have Megaplex from the 4th to the 6th in Orlando, Florida. And before I continue on, Megaplex put up something on their Twitter page that someone has been trying to spread false. I don't want to say false news because it's not really news, but a false statement that Megaplex was closing. They have said that is not happening. Megaplex is going on as planned, and they are going to keep going as long as they can. So that's why that if you're going to look for anything convention related, go to their official Twitter page, their home page, their Facebook or whatever. Make sure it comes directly from them. Let's see, 9th to the 13th, Futurcon. This one is in Poland. Up next, Indie FurCon from the 11th to the 13th in Indiana. And then 16th to the 20th, one of the big cons, Eurofrance, over in Berlin, Germany. 17th to the 20th, Furrydelphia, back in my birthplace of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in more particular, the suburb of King of Prussia. I've been debating on whether I was going to go to Furrydelphia because it is where I was originally from, but it's dangerously close to another thing I have going on, which I'll explain later. 24th to the 28th, Camp Farrell in Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada. We got 3 events going on the weekend of the 25th to the 27th. We have Brazil Fur Fest in Santos, Brazil. We have FA United, which will be held this year in Virginia. And finally, we have Furry Migration in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So those are your events for the month of August. Now, like I said, I was contemplating on whether I was going to go to Furrydelphia for its first year, but like I said, I have another event planned the following weekend. And so what is going to happen is that you know that I'm a Disney person. I work for Disney twice. I have visited their parks quite frequently, or at least in the Orlando area. So I had put out this idea to the family, and for the first time ever, I am going to make a trip to Anaheim, California, to the original Disneyland. So this will be exciting for me because, like I said, Orlando has been the only Disney park that I've been to. So this will be quite an experience to me to look at the original Disneyland as well as California Adventure. And of course, I'll be documenting everything that happens along with me. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'll have some video for that probably in a month. We'll see how much footage I take during my time there. So how much time have I gone? 25 minutes. I thought I'd gone longer than that. Okay. All right, so that is it for me. This Dragon's Mouth is now closing. Oh, there is one other thing that I forgot. You know that I've been following Pokemon Go for quite a lot. And the other week, they've had their very first event in Chicago, and it was a disaster. So what kind of a disaster are we talking about here? Well, how about the fact that it took well over a couple hours just to get in the damn place? People could not get into the game because everybody was logging in at the same time at the same place. And they tried getting some local Wi-Fi going, but only for Sprint, because that was their sponsor for their event. So there was a lot of people who couldn't play the game. And so ultimately they refunded their tickets, and they gave $100 worth of Pokecoins to every one of them. But that wasn't enough for someone else, as someone has decided to file a class action lawsuit against Niantic, saying that they're accusing them of false advertising. Now, I don't know if they're going to win this case, because this isn't really a case of false advertising, because yes, there were a lot of technical difficulties, but they were trying their best to get everything right. And they even tried to compensate everybody by refunding their tickets. And what was the other thing that I was questioning? There was one other thing that I wanted to mention, but I forgot what it was. But yeah, a class action lawsuit against Niantic, and we'll just see what happens. But in the meantime, the legendary birds are out. And for this whole week, we've had Articuno, which I was lucky enough to get 4 of them. And not only that, 3 Lugia. And today, Moltres is coming out, the Bird of Fire. And then after that, Zapdos. As for Mewtwo and Mew, I'm hearing that there's going to be invitations, so to speak, to actually go after him. So we'll see what happens then. Oh yes, now I remember what I was going to say. I do think that Niantic should have seen this coming in the first place, because they've ran into this problem before, back on day 1, when they didn't have enough servers, because they were getting overloaded by players. So you would have thought that they would have seen this coming. Not to mention that with so many people packed in one place, that the cell towers are getting overloaded. So yeah, they did have Wi-Fi, but it only helped one cell phone provider. So I think they should have been more prepared for that. So okay, now I really am done. I'll see you guys later.